Hi, good morning everyone. I'm here with Jen and she likes to wear her nails in the kind of new ballerina coffin shape, and I had some requests from people that wanted to see how I do a quick fill on these. I've already done most of my cuticle work in the standard way with my pusher. I'm getting some bits in to start doing dry manicuring with bits, so once I get going with that I will show you guys that technique. But when I'm doing ballerina nails, I tend to over file the sides. I want to make them actually a little bit thinner than they're going to turn out, because once you add your fill layer and your color, they're going to end up widening a bit. So you want to actually taper them in a little bit more than what you expect them to look like as a final nail. So I do the sides, and her nails are, she wears them pretty long, so they do start to curl up a little, so I just be careful with the sides to make sure I can smooth those out as good as possible. These are all her natural nails. Looks like she broke that one at some point, but she doesn't break them too often. But it looks like that's grown out quite a bit. So then looking down the barrel, glide your file over the surface of the nail without lifting up. If you bounce, this is how you get bumpy nails. You want to just leave your file on nice and smooth and glide over the surface of the nail. Blend the cuticle, prep the cuticle. This is why these are shaped like this, so you can do this all by hand. I do all of my shaping and pre-filing by hand, so this is all how I do it in this one. So I'm coming underneath, and see this is arched down just a little bit. And we are watching you, so Jen's gonna let me know if we do end up with any questions. Good morning, Christy and Cindy. This is a rare Saturday for me. I normally don't work Saturdays, but because I was traveling the last couple of weeks, I am here today on Saturday. So I'm just kind of being careful with this because of how it's notched over on her own nail. And I'm gonna blend it in. And again, I'm going to make it a little bit more narrow than what I expect it to be.
Yeah, more good mornings.
More good mornings. Hi, good morning everybody. Liz, Mo, Susie. Actually, I have a friend named Monique, so I'm not sure if you like being called Mo, but my other friend Monique, we call her Mo. So if you hate being called Mo, let me know and I will not call you Mo anymore. I'm going to be careful with this corner. Alright, so one of the ways that I size and shape these is I tend to compare the size here to make sure that these nails are very similar. If anything, this can be slightly a tiny bit longer, but you can just hold them side to side and see that this one's a little tiny bit longer. That's okay. You either want these three all to be exactly the same, or this to be slightly different, and these two to be totally the same. So that's how you can measure
Susie
your lengths.
What grit is your file?
This is the 100-100 file. And you can use 100-100, 100-180. I find that these files tend to be a little bit softer than if you get a little bit cheaper file from somewhere. You might find that their grits are a lot coarser. They might drop a lot of grit on your table. These accents ones are actually a little bit soft for a 100. So I just go ahead and get the 100-100 so that I can make it last. But 100-180 is totally fine too. So again, looking down the barrel, I want to make sure that this side here is going to be blended in well, and the other side. So starting from one side, holding lightly over the surface, roll the finger and keep your file on it, and that's going to smooth the whole surface without getting bumps. Coming underneath. The trick of, I think, these ballerina coffin nails is that people's natural nails have a bit of an arch to them as they grow out, especially when they're this long. So you kind of have to baby them on the side if you don't want to be constantly resculpturing them, because they tend to shred like that. So sometimes I'll leave it till I'm all done. And then again, like I said, you can put these two together, and these two should be the same length. So cuticle to free edge, these two should be the same. So we'll shorten that a little bit. And then I want them to have the same angle. So I'm going to bring this one in just a little bit more so that they're same as far as triangular. This one, the natural nail's starting to go crazy, so I'm just gonna let that be. The more you mess with it before you do anything else, the more of a pain it might be. Actually going to just nip it. I don't want to shred it anymore. It seems to be wanting to shred from underneath. So I'm just going to do that just so that it's smooth. All right, pinky. So I've already prepped the other hand. I didn't want to spend too much time doing this for you guys, but I had some requests, so I am going to show you guys this. I know that, you know, for a long time, nail techs worked Saturdays a ton, but someone just had a thread, it might have been David Valentino, about, you know, what your least popular day is, or what are your busiest days and your least popular days. One of the reasons I personally don't do a lot of Saturdays is because, especially around here in the summer, people go camping, go do all kinds of stuff because our summers are absolutely gorgeous. And when you work weekends, you get cancellations the day before like nobody's business. So then you've got gaps in your schedule and you want to be out playing in the sunshine too. So after, I don't know, 10 years maybe 8 years, I finally gave up and just said, you know what, no more Saturdays. And I don't do it very often. I have a couple that, you know, are like this is Jen, and she typically comes in on my late night. She drives about 45 minutes. So she'll come in on a late night after work, because my Thursdays I typically work till 10. But when I do a Saturday, she'll grab a Saturday. Her and a couple others who tend to do late nights after work will grab the Saturday ones because it's a rarity. But definitely don't do it on a regular basis. So again, just being really careful. And I want to, like I said, taper these in a little bit more than what they're going to be at the end, because once you add your products and your color, they're going to look whiter. So if you just do a small taper, they're not going to have much of that coffin shape. You want to really kind of overemphasize the shape. All right, so prepped, ready to go. Let me dust that. All right. When you clean the surface of your nails, hold on, let me grab some wipes. There was some talk about, you know, whether you clean or not, and people ask me because I know that some aren't cleaning. I do, but you don't want to be grabbing oils from the fingers. Put your thumb on the nail and only go around the nail itself, because you don't want to be pulling oils from their fingers onto the nail bed. So there's, you know, some don't like to do this. I like to do it because I want to make sure that everything's really clean. I like to remove any dust that might be lurking in there. But I'm only pressing the wipe into the new growth. I'm not letting it kind of go crazy all over the place. So I do that. There's another question.
That's why it looks super soft about the grit.
Yeah, yeah, it does. It's a soft 100 for sure. So I'm going to use a Fix-It. Because she wears her nails long and goes typically 3 to 4 weeks. I want to make sure that the adhesion's really good. This one had a little bit of lifting, as you can see there, so always will use a Fix-It on that. There's a couple people that I know no matter what, they don't need it, but for a lot of them I just go ahead and use it. A Fix-It is what you would call a sticky primer or protein bonder. If she was someone who lifted a lot, I would start with my my acid primer first to really dehydrate the nail really well, but she doesn't. So a Fix-It's plenty. And then we are going to grab a brush. As usual, I always grab a brush and a stick out of my drawer. New stick, new brush. Well, not new brush, clean brush. Wipe it off. I'm going to use my Optibond from Options. This is what I like to use most of the time for my base gel. And you can see that the Fix-It has turned matte, so it's ready to go. If your Fix-It tends to look really wet all the time, you're putting too much on. So have a wipe nearby or something that you can just bleed your brush from your Fix-It out onto, and then it's not going to look really wet anymore, and that's important. So you don't have to be super particular about this. Just get it around the nail and on the nail. It's a little bit of lint going on. I got new towels around here, so it's starting to be a little bit linty, but they're so soft, which is nice for my elbow. I prop my elbow up on towels. In the light, please. I prop my elbow up on the towel underneath here when I'm removing product with my e-file, and so having cushion underneath it is really nice. So do that. For no lint situations, for sure, the soft landings are amazing. So I bring a pile of those with me when I do classes and things like that. I don't want to have to deal with lint as much, so I definitely use soft landings because they're awesome. All right, so go ahead on in the light. We are going to then move on to my natural clear. You can use natural clear pink, cool pink, all kinds of stuff. You can use, if you like to use the LED line, you can use balance or enhance. This is my typical go-to for most of my clients is my natural. So I'm going to grab a good sized ball on there and then work it around the cuticle and then touch and pull down. That's it. It's going to smooth out, self-level perfectly. So again, grab a good sized ball, roll it on, push around the cuticle. Now it's a little bit more product when I'm working with a nail this long because I'm allowing a bit of an arch in the nail. When I'm doing a 30-day manicure on a nail that's shorter, I'm going to keep it a bit more flat, and so that it just looks like they're nice, the natural nail. But as you can see, if you look from the side angle, we want to have a nice arch in the nail. So you don't have to work the product very much to do that. Now this one is missing half of the arch because she had a little bit of lift, so I'm going to grab a little bit extra product, roll it off on the center of the nail. Ooh, I grabbed one with a lot of bubbles because I grabbed twice. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to push my gel up around the cuticle, keeping most of the gel that I just grabbed under my brush. So I'm just working my brush around. I don't want to get really close to the cuticle. I always like to have a little bit of gap in there. That's where my color falls. And then I'm just going to pull this out. I'm pushing the gel up and letting it stay where my arch is, okay? And that way it can maintain a good arch. That's what will keep your nails from breaking. I was not a gel tech out of the gate because A, my school didn't teach gels, and B, I learned gels from someone who didn't teach proper structure, and my nails all broke the first week, and it drove me crazy. And so I did not like gels right away. And then I learned proper structure, and that if you structure your nails properly, they won't break. And then I fell in love and I never looked back. So now looking at the side, I'm gonna turn your hand sideways for a second. Are we in the light? So that gel has created her arch right there for her. And by just keeping the product right in the center, and then I'm just gonna make sure I brush down off the free edge, make sure there's not too much extra. Okay. And because I have a bunch on there, and she's very warm, after I do this nail, before I do the thumb, I'm actually gonna freeze cure it a few times just so that it doesn't move on me. There's a little bubble in there. Just move that out. So push the gel up where you want it. You can see by looking at the line of light from your table where you have bumps and things like that. And I like to keep the sidewalls on the ballerina especially pretty thin. So I tend to pull down on the sides here. Make sure that they stay really thin so that the shape maintains really well. If you're doing this with Enhance, it's going to run quite a bit more if you're adding this much product. So I would use Balance if you're working with the LED line or Performance line. I would use Balance to do this kind of a technique because Balance has a lot thicker viscosity and you're not going to worry about it. So all these look quite smooth. It has this wiggle in, it's the light's straight, so it tends to, if you looked at it this way, the reflection of the light, you can see that it's pretty smooth. So I'm actually going to go ahead and do the thumb because I'm not very patient. And it doesn't seem to be moving too much, so that's good. It was cold in here last night, so my gel is actually cold, which helps. If it was really warm in here, my gel would be runnier. gel is, especially accents gels, are very temperature sensitive. And so if it's warm in your salon, your gel's going to run a lot faster. If it's cool in your salon, your gel is going to be a lot stiffer and not run near as fast. I think that one's good. Let's just double check these real quick. See, it didn't move too much. If I feel like it moved back a little bit, you can always, I'll grab it from the back and then pull it down, because that's typically what happens, is it flows towards the cuticle, and I want to keep the cuticle thin. But that looks good. You can come out a few times if it starts to get warm. All right, I'm gonna do the next one. And she has chosen, you can come out now. She's chosen Sassy, which is part of our new Luxio collection, so I'm excited to use that. That will make every single color that I've used this week. So I've been posting them on my Instagram. If you don't know, I have Instagram. I do. I don't do videos on there so much as far as tutorial videos, but I do try to video the colors that I'm using, because pictures don't do justice to a lot of colors. So my Instagram is just Love Nails, so that's pretty easy. Same way of spelling. And so if you're wondering what a color looks like, you can check it out on there and see if that works correctly. Eventually I will have them tagged into every product on my website. And I would love to have all of the colors as a video like that, but it just, I don't make my clients like choose a certain color, so it just depends on what they choose. I'm putting gel back as I'm working because there was a little bit too much on my brush.
And we have a question from Chrissy. It says, how did you end up liking the light that gradually powers up?
Honestly, it's hit and miss. I haven't used the Light Elegance one. I thought this one might be the same manufacturer. I had got 4 of them for me and for the other Jessica to test, and to be honest, they're all different. So some of them clients won't feel anything, which is awesome, but then other ones, they feel it just as if they were putting it in a full strength lamp. Even though you can tell it's not quite as strong, there's still some heat. So I like it. The manufacturer I went through isn't perfect. I haven't used Jim's from Light Elegance, but I would like to test it out and see if his is what end of the spectrum it is. If it's, you know, like no one's feeling it, or if it's like you know, the other ones, the other 2 that I out of the same company. You would think the lights are the same, and they're not. So I don't know which end of the spectrum Jim's is on. But if someone wants to tell him that I want to test it, I will. But yeah, I like the idea of it for sure. I think it's genius that you have a light that doesn't turn on full power right away, so it can slowly cure. So I like that that is available. I would like it to be even slower at the first part if the lights are like the ones that are still strong. Get rid of that. So is this helping you guys kind of see how I do a fill on this shape in particular? And you can see that they're all coming out totally smooth, no finish filing. We're going to go straight into color after we do her thumb. And I'm holding her thumb up really close because I'm making sure she's not touching the table. So sorry, the camera's shaking a little tiny bit right there. Because that happens all the time to people. You flip their hand over and they touch the table. Oh, and there's a lovely piece of black lint in there. And she's wearing a black sweater, so we get to blame it on her.
Blame it on me.
It's all right. You guys might have heard this story before, but one of the gel classes I first went to, I got a model to come, and she was wearing a red Angora sweater. Like, the most fuzz floating in that room of anything I've ever seen in my life. It didn't matter what I did, there was this red fuzz everywhere. So, yeah, doesn't happen too often, but that was special. It was probably 15 years ago.
Cindy's asking if your camera's between your arms.
It's not between my arms, it's floating actually right over my client's hand. But when I move it, it's on an arm, and so it kind of shakes for a second before it settles down. So I'm just checking this to make sure there's nothing thick on the tips. I don't like thick tips. I don't want it to bump up in the front. And so...
I don't like that. thick tips either. I can still pick up quarters when they're thin.
She can pick up quarters. Alrighty
Like,
then.
normally when you get acrylics and you have a quarter fall on the ground, you can't pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
With my nails, I can.
Okay, it's all about the quarters. All
I
right,
drop change all the time.
so that's the fill, natural clear, and then we can go straight into color. So here is Sassy from the new Luxio collection, the spring collection, or the, what do they call it? The Sassy? No, the Flirt collection is what they call it. So, basic polishing. Touch your nail in the center, don't touch it from the front, and then push it out towards the cuticle. I like to get it as close as I can. I like to, oh, touched it. Not that close. I like to let the color fall into the line between the gel and the, I feel like my brush is funky. Look at that, I got a nice halo of pink all the way around her finger. I feel like there's something funky with my brush. It's possible. Let's see if we can eliminate that from happening again. Always use your stick and clean up before you go into the light. I do it like before I even move on, just because I don't want to have to worry about it again. So push up, let the color fall into the cuticle. And I work around the side. Work around the side. You let these cure completely, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what's going on right there. That might be a piece of fuzz underneath the color right there. The second coat will cover it up, smooth it out. Oh, no, you didn't let this cure all the way. Okay, that's what's going on. She took her hand out of the light and see the gel underneath, totally not cured. Okay, so let's put that in all the way again. All right, so I'll sign off, but that's Sassy for you. I'll do a final picture so you guys can see what it looks like, or a mini video, and show you guys what it looks like in the end. So thanks for joining me for Ballerina Fill. We'll see you guys later. Bye.